flipping through the newspapers, switching through multiple news channels, exploring different websites and online mediums for relevant news? Keeping up to date with important news is not only time-consuming but also requires meticulous upkeep of notes for thorough revision. With a limited period in hand and abundant resources to study from, do not let current affairs come in the way of your prelims success. Join the PT 365 program by Vision IAS and advance in your preparation for current affairs. Starting on 9th January at 5 p.m., this 20-day course offers comprehensive coverage of 1 year of current affairs in 60 hours. Join for improved knowledge with complete coverage of The Hindu, Indian Express, PIB, Economic Times, Yojana, Economic Survey, etc. Doubt-clearing sessions and mentoring for thorough knowledge. Access to Sandhan personalized test with 25,000 plus questions. Access to live and online classes for flexibility in timing. It's time to devote your energy to smart learning and not running. Enroll today and excel in UPSC prelims with a strong command of current affairs.
Hello and welcome to this edition of News Today. Without delay, let's have a look at the headlines first. SpaceX rocket explodes, scattering debris over Florida and the Bahamas. Supreme Court emphasized on the need for stricter implementation of existing laws for women empowerment. Treaty on the Non-Proliferation of Nuclear Weapons or NPT marks 55 years of operation. World Spice Organization suggests greater value addition in spices to achieve $10 billion export target. Study highlights significance of seagrass conservation for global biodiversity. In our first news for the day, SpaceX rocket has exploded, scattering debris over Florida and the Bahamas. This incident highlights the growing risks associated with the expansion of satellite mega constellations like Starlink and Kuiper. Space debris refers to non-functional artificial objects including fragments in Earth's orbit or re-entering the atmosphere. The governance and legal issues surrounding space debris management remain complex. One major challenge is the lack of a universally accepted legal definition of space debris in international treaties. Liability concerns persist as disputes arise over whether debris qualifies as a space object under the 1972 Liability Convention, especially when debris is no longer under a state's jurisdiction. Enforcement is another challenge, as many other satellites lack deorbiting mechanisms, leading to non-compliance with the UN's voluntary deorbiting guidelines. Additionally, attributing debris to its source is difficult, particularly with older or fragmented objects. The primary sources of space debris include on-orbit breakups as well as on-orbit collisions. Space debris also originates from spent rocket stages and use of space-based weapons such as anti-satellite missiles. The rising accumulation of debris poses several challenges, including threats to operational satellites, increased risks to the life of astronauts, and high costs associated with maintaining satellite infrastructure. Several global and national initiatives have been undertaken to address space debris management. International efforts include the Interagency Debris Coordination Committee or IADC, established in 1993, the UN Space Debris Mitigation Guidelines prepared by UN Committee on the Peaceful Uses of Outer Space or UNCOPUOS, and the Zero Debris Charter signed by 12 countries including Austria, Belgium and Cyprus, among others. India has also taken significant steps with initiatives such as Debris-Free Space Missions, DFSM 2030, the ISRO System for Safe and Sustainable Operations Management, the Space Situational Awareness Control Center or SSACC, and Project Netra for Space Object Tracking and Analysis. The Supreme Court has emphasized the need for stricter enforcement of existing laws to enhance women's empowerment. Through various judgments and observations, the Indian judiciary has played a crucial role in ensuring gender justice and equality. Let's look at the role of judiciary in the empowerment of women. The judiciary has been instrumental in preventing sexual harassment, as seen in Vishakha Sahni versus State of Rajasthan 1998. where the court laid down exhaustive guidelines to prevent sexual harassment of women in workplace. It has upheld women's rights, notably in Shaira Bano versus Union of India 2017, where triple talaq was declared unconstitutional for violating fundamental rights. Gender equality was reinforced in Danamma at Sumansurpur versus Amar 2018, which recognized daughters' equal rights in ancestral property. Additionally, in Joseph Shine versus Union of India 2018, the Supreme Court struck down Section 497 IPC, decriminalizing adultery and rejecting the notion of women as the property of the husband, thus reforming criminal laws. The court has also supported wage equality, as evident in Randhir Singh versus Union of India 1982, where it recognized equal pay for equal work as a constitutional goal under Article 39, Clause D. In addition to judicial intervention, there are other constitutional and legislative measures on women empowerment. Constitutional provisions such as Article 14, Right to Equality, Article 15, Clause 1, Prohibition of discrimination based on sex, and Article 42, Ensuring just and human working conditions and for maternity relief, provide a strong legal foundation for women's rights. Legislative measures including the Protection of Women from Domestic Violence Act of 2005 and the Sexual Harassment of Women at Workplace Prevention, Prohibition and Redressal Act of 2013 further strengthen legal protections for women in India. Moving ahead, Treaty on the Non-Proliferation of Nuclear Weapons or NPT marks 55 years of operation. NPT represents the only binding commitment in a multilateral treaty with the goal of disarmament by the nuclear weapon states or NWS and promotion of peaceful uses of nuclear energy. Let's dive into it. Enforced in 1970, NPT currently has 191 member states. However, India has not signed the treaty, citing its discriminatory classification of states into nuclear haves and nuclear have-nots. If we talk about the major provisions of the treaty, it is based on three key principles. Non-proliferation, where member states must refrain from acquiring or transferring nuclear weapons. Disarmament and access to peaceful nuclear technology. Compliance with the treaty is verified through inspections conducted by the International Atomic Energy Agency or IAEA, an organization established in 1957 under the United Nations to ensure the safe, secure, and peaceful use of nuclear technologies. The operation of the treaty is reviewed every 5 years. In the present era, NPT holds significant relevance due to rising nuclear threats, including the proliferation of small arms and emerging technologies like artificial intelligence. Reports from the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute or SIPRI indicate that most nuclear-capable nations have expanded their arsenals, highlighting the growing challenge of nuclear disarmament. Additionally, nuclear diplomacy has weakened, as seen in Russia's withdrawal of its ratification of the Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty or CTBT. India has maintained a distinct stance on nuclear weapons. It conducted nuclear explosions and testing in 1974 and 1998 and outlined its 8-point nuclear doctrine in 2003, emphasizing a no first-use policy. India has also engaged in key nuclear cooperation agreements, such as the India-USA Civil Nuclear Cooperation Initiative in 2005 and the Agreement for Cooperation in the Peaceful Uses of Nuclear Energy with Japan in 2015. Apart from NPT, other major treaties on nuclear disarmament include the treaty banning nuclear weapon tests in the atmosphere, in outer space, and underwater, or the Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty or CTBT, which has not been signed by India, and the Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons or TPNW, again, not signed by India. Despite ongoing challenges, the NPT continues to play a crucial role in global nuclear governance, underscoring the need for renewed diplomatic efforts toward disarmament and non-proliferation. In a significant development, the World Spice Organization has emphasized the need for India to increase its share of value-added spices to 70% in order to meet the Spices Board of India's export target of $10 billion by 2030. Despite being the world's largest producer and consumer of spices, India holds only a 0.7% share in the global seasoning market, valued at $14 billion in 2024, compared to China's 12% and the US's 11%. Let's take a closer look at India's status in spices. India is the world's largest spice producer. It is also the largest consumer. India produces 75 of the 109 spice varieties recognized by the International Organization for Standardization, with major production hubs in Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Gujarat, Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, Karnataka, and Maharashtra. The country is also the largest exporter of spices, with chili being the most exported spice in 2021-22. Key export destinations include China, the US, Bangladesh, Thailand, the UAE, Sri Lanka, Malaysia, and the UK. However, challenges persist, including low value addition, with only 48% of India's spice exports processed into high-value products, while the rest are sold as raw whole spices. Additionally, 98% of spice production is undertaken by small-scale farmers with land holdings of less than 2 hectares. Weak regulations, particularly the absence of a national standard encompassing all sanitary and phytosanitary or SPS measures, and stiff global competition from Vietnam, Indonesia, Brazil, and China further hinder growth. To address these issues, several initiatives have been undertaken. The Spices Board of India, a statutory body constituted under administrative control of the Department of Commerce, is working to develop and globally promote Indian spices. Initiatives such as export development and promotion of spices support exporters in adopting high-tech processing technologies. Other measures include the setting up and maintenance of infrastructure for common processing or spices parks and the National Sustainable Spice Program (NSSP), among others. With strategic interventions and a focus on value addition, India has the potential to significantly boost its global spice market share and achieve its ambitious export targets. Moving on, a recent review article published in Nature Reviews Earth and Environment underscores the critical role of seagrass beds in supporting global biodiversity and ecosystem services, while identifying key threats and conservation opportunities. But what are seagrasses? Seagrasses, marine flowering plants found in shallow coastal waters, typically in estuarine and oceanic habitats, and are often referred to as the lungs of the sea due to their oxygen production through photosynthesis, contributing significantly to marine ecosystems. These vital ecosystems are distributed across all continents except Antarctica, with significant presence in India's Gulf of Mannar and Park Bay regions on the east coast, Gulf of Kutch region on the west coast, and lagoons of islands in Lakshadweep in the Arabian Sea, and Andaman and Nicobar Islands in the Bay of Bengal. Now let's look at the significance of seagrasses. Seagrass meadows provide habitat for 121 species of conservation concern and 746 fish species, playing a crucial role in biodiversity preservation. Their carbon sequestration ability surpasses rainforests, capturing carbon 35 times faster and storing 10 to 18% of the ocean's carbon despite covering less than 0.1% of the seafloor. Additionally, they act as natural coastal protectors, mitigating storm impact and preventing erosion by reducing wave impact. They also contribute significantly to global fisheries and tourism, with an estimated economy value of $6.4 trillion annually, and support over 20% of global fishery landings. However, these ecosystems face numerous threats, including pollution from urban, industrial, and agricultural runoff, coastal development, dredging, unregulated fishing and boating activities, and climate change. Conservation efforts have gained momentum globally through initiatives like the UNEP Community Manual launched by UNEP and partners to guide community-based seagrass conservation projects. Additionally, Seagrass Watch is a collaborative program that trains volunteers and organizations to monitor and conserve seagrass habitats. Moreover, the Blue Carbon Initiative focuses on coastal ecosystems, including seagrasses for carbon sequestration and climate change mitigation. In India, seagrasses are recognized under the National Policy on Marine Fisheries, which highlights the importance of seagrasses, along with mangroves and coral reefs, in coastal marine ecosystems, and the Climate Resilience Project in Andhra Pradesh, Maharashtra, and Odisha to enhance coastal climate resilience. This project promotes protection and restoration of natural ecosystems like seagrasses, supported by a grant from the Global Climate Fund. As seagrass meadows continue to decline, urgent conservation efforts are needed to protect these vital ecosystems and their role in climate resilience, marine biodiversity, and coastal sustainability. In today's Personality in News, we turn our focus to Govind Ballabh Pant. On his death anniversary, the eminent freedom fighter and the first Chief Minister of UP was remembered. Born in Khoot village near Almora, Uttarakhand, Ballabh Pant joined politics in 1921 and was elected to the Legislative Assembly of the United Provinces of Agra and Awadh. Let's look at his key contributions. He was appointed by Congress to initially represent Ram Prasad Bismil, Ashfaqullah Khan, and other revolutionaries involved in the Kakori case. Ballabh Pant also took part in Salt March, Quit India movement, and was arrested in 1930 for planning the civil disobedience movement. As UP CM, he abolished the zamindari system and championed the Hindu Code Bill, granting women rights to divorce and inheritance. As Home Minister, he led the reorganization of states along linguistic lines. He was also responsible for the establishment of Hindi as an official language of the central government and a few states. Honored with the Bharat Ratna in 1957, his legacy of leadership, integrity, and compassion endures. As we conclude today's main news, let's have a look at some quick updates. The Supreme Court permits Ranveer Allahabadia to air programs as it is the only source of livelihood for him. The Supreme Court, through various judgments, held that Article 21 includes the right to life and right to livelihood. Under Article 39, the state shall ensure that all citizens, men and women equally, have the right to an adequate livelihood. The Organization of Islamic Cooperation, or OIC, endorsed the Arab League's alternate proposal against Trump's plan to seize Gaza and displace its residents. OIC is an international organization that represents the collective voice of the Muslim world. It is the second largest organization after UN, with 57 states spread over 4 continents. Tropex 25 was conducted over a period of 3 months from January to March 2025. Tropex is the Indian Navy's premier biennial war exercise with the aim to assess and enhance the operational preparedness of the Indian Navy in coordination with the Indian Army, Air Force, and Coast Guard. Ministry of Finance launched a new credit assessment model using MSME's digital footprints to streamline credit appraisal and disbursement. New credit assessment model will leverage the digitally fetched and verifiable data available in the ecosystem and devise automated journeys for MSME loan appraisal. The DRDO has officially designated its air-to-air missile technology as Gandev. It is next in line of the Astra series, building upon the success of its predecessors, the Astra Mk1 and Mk2. It is powered by a solid fuel-ducted ramjet propulsion system, a cutting-edge technology that utilizes atmospheric oxygen as an oxidizer. Recently, Union Government has notified a scheme for cooperative sugar mills under Modified Ethanol Interest Subvention Scheme. Aim of the scheme is the conversion of existing sugarcane-based feedstock ethanol plants into multi-feedstock-based plants to use grains like maize and damaged food grains. Recently, Poshan, or Prime Minister's overarching scheme for holistic nutrition Abhiyan, launched in 2018, completed 7 years of its implementation. It is a centrally sponsored scheme with the objective to improve nutritional status of adolescent girls, pregnant women, lactating mothers, and children from 0 to 6 years of age. Before we sign off, let's challenge your understanding in today's installment of Test Your Learning. Thank you for joining us. We hope you found this episode of News Today engaging. For the solutions to the quiz and to access the PDF version of News Today, remember to visit the provided links in the description below.